I was gonna rip his heart out, I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lennox is a conqueror, no, I'm Alexander, he's no Alexander. I'm the best ever, there's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston, I'm Jack Dempsey, there's no one like me. I'm from their claw, there's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
It's amazing here what we're able to put on, but are you interested in trying to conquer America?
No. All these years, the UK fighters had to go to America, everyone had to spend a heap of money to go to Vegas. We can do it in London, around Wembley, Cardiff. It's local. We're staying right here. We're staying right here. We're staying right here.
He's kind of said, all right, cool, come and fight me in America. But the thing is with that, number one, as I said, I owe it to the fans and everyone that's been supporting me to do it here. And number two, if I go there, there's a lot of like tricks that they play in terms of like referees and judges, and that's why I want to be at home where I'm secure. So,
but there's always been that myth, really, that to crack it in boxing you have to crack America. But I don't see why. I mean, look at what we're doing in the UK. Look at the spectacles that we're creating. He's very happy boxing in the UK. He's doing very well.
You mentioned a lot of markets there, but ever is a mighty big word. And we know, yeah, you're right, the purses are here right now, but when you make it in America, you do make it globally in that sense.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
Do you think that Anthony Joshua becomes as big a star as he could potentially be without ever fighting in the United States?
I don't think it really matters. It's a box to tick. That's what it is. If you have the right partners, then that's not a problem. If you have the right broadcast media partners, corporate sponsors, you can become a star anywhere. I do agree, America is a market that we would love to tick that box. But for us, Anthony Joshua is doing just fine in the UK.
There's more money, which is what boxing is all about, in Europe, particularly in the UK, than there is anywhere else in the world. Trust me, and I'm very complimentary about American fighters, but we have the best in the world now, and we can finance it. We don't need to go to America anymore. The Americans are going to need to come to us.
I'm going to do things my way, innit? If Wilder works, we're going to make it happen. If Wilder isn't the right opponent for next year, then we'll put it back on into 2019. I'm going to take fights at the right time for me. Yeah, if it's next year or the year after or the year after, when I fight him, I'll be in a position to beat.
It's too early for Wilder to fight Joshua, really, but I would like to see it happening in 2 years' time, when they're both huge and we're talking about $1 billion income and not $100 billion income.
We had an email last night from Deontay Wilder offering us $50 million apparently, and I just written back and said, look, obviously we'd be very interested in that offer, but we need to see quite a few things. Proof of funds will be nice.
We're not asking to see proof of funds.
They made us a very good offer. Some of the points in that offer were good, some were acceptable, some were unacceptable, but the basic response from AJ, Rob McCracken, fight of this magnitude, of this history, should take place in the
No, I'm very happy, but look, worst case scenario, if AJ's unbeaten for 10 years and doesn't fight Deontay Wilder, I'll take that.
But Josh, honestly, he really isn't bothered about the money. But Josh, honestly, he really isn't bothered about the money.
Welcome back to another episode of Bout the Ropes here on Keep It Real Boxing. I am your host, Cypherbox, and let's get into it. Don't forget to smash that like button as you come in while you're at it. Okay, so let's get started with this week's top story, in my opinion. Deontay Wilder, once again. Deontay Wilder has announced his rematch with Lewis King Kong Ortiz. You know, the fight's due to take place in September. For what I'm hearing, it's going to be on Showtime pay-per-view too. But not only that, Deontay Wilder came out on social media, on his Instagram page and Twitter, stating that a rematch has been signed with Tyson Fury for after Lewis Ortiz. Now, he's saying in this post, I'm going to put it up for you in a second so you can read it yourself. Basically, he's not looking past Lewis King Kong Ortiz because he sees him as a dangerous opponent, and he is. He's looking through him. You know how Deontay Wilder talks. But I'm guessing, providing he gets through Lewis King Kong Ortiz for a second time, then we're going to get the Tyson Fury fight in early 2020. That's what he said to TMZ as well. I'll link all the links, all the stuff that I use in this video. As always, all my sources will be in the description of this podcast. Now, as always, there's a lot of criticism for Deontay Wilder, especially now he's made this fight with Luis Ortiz. Now, he's saying that in his post that I've got to deal with my controversial decisions, my controversial victories, before I can move on, etc., and take that fight with AJ and all that sort of stuff. I need to deal with this business first. Now, a lot of people are turn around and say, well, the Luis Ortiz fight wasn't controversial. You knocked him out. Now, these are the same people. These are AJ fans, basically. Let's put it that way, right? But it's funny, the same Anthony Joshua fans at the time were criticising Deontay Wilder, saying he was gifted the decision because the referee and the ring doctor helped him out. Now, if you remember, go back to the fight, round number 7. That was a tough round for Deontay Wilder. He took a beating in that round from Luis Ortiz, and how he did not go down, how he stayed on his feet is beyond me, yeah? But he took a beating, right? Now, before round 8 started, the referee stopped time because the doctor wanted to take a look at Deontay Wilder. Now, if you know your boxing and you follow the sport well enough, you will know those are the rules of the New York State Athletics Commission. Now, a few years ago, the New York State Athletics Commission were sued by a boxer. I think they were sued something like $20-30 million because the boxer claimed that the officials on the night did not protect his health and his life in the ring at that time. Now, I have to search out that article, and I'll link it in the description of the video, of course. But that's the reason behind it. If you go and watch a lot of fights happening in New York, a lot of times the ring doctor would jump up when a fighter's been through, a round which has been extremely difficult, where they've suffered a lot of punishment or if they've had a knockdown, and then before the next round commences, ring doctor will say, stop, let me have a quick look first, and then you can continue. That's all that happened in there. But a lot of people were saying that's controversial, or it was rigged, or whatever, the officials were paid off, and all this nonsense. And these were the AJ fans, really, let's be honest with you, yeah? Let's be completely honest about the whole thing. And now, all these AJ fans are turning around saying, oh, there wasn't nothing controversial about it, he's ducking what? AJ, whatever, yeah? So, that's my first point I wanted to kind of correct with everyone out there who are basically being extremely hypocritical in terms of what they're saying now. And why not Tyson Fury? A lot of you, including me, on the scorecard believe Tyson Fury won the fight against Deontay Wilder. However, I also believe that the fight shouldn't have gone to the scorecards because I believe Tyson Fury was out and the referee gave a long count and far too much of an opportunity for Tyson Fury to recover. Therefore, in a sense, technically robbing Deontay Wilder of a knockout victory. So there was a bit of controversy there. There wasn't a bit, there was a lot. So what's wrong with that rematch? And the first fight was great. The Luis Ortiz first fight was great. These two are 2 top 5 heavyweights in Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz. He's fighting Luis Ortiz first and then Tyson Fury after that if he gets through Luis Ortiz. Those are 2 top 5 heavyweights back to back. How can you criticize that? You can't. Now a lot of people are turning around and saying, well, why is Wilder fighting old man Ortiz? He already knocked him out. This is the other thing that's going around at the moment, yeah? Personally, I had Ortiz, even at the knockout stage, I had Ortiz winning the fight on the cards by about a point, I think it was, yeah? Okay. But no one had a problem when AJ wanted to fight old man Klitschko in a rematch in Vegas, did they? Here's the audio.
So, I mean, are y'all gonna bring it to Vegas? You know we want to see it out here in the States.
Yeah, I'd like to, for sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? But if Klitschko wants a rematch, we're here. We're ready. So.
So he still doesn't really know if he wants it for sure.
We'll see. We'll wait and see. But I want to fight in Vegas.
You want to fight in Vegas? Okay, man.
I want to win so I can go to an after fight.
That's what it is.
No problem. So, guess what?
Your next fight is when?
November.
Yeah.
November.
Where back?
Potentially here. Potentially.
I hope it is around the 29th.
Around like middle of November, if it's here, middle, late in November.
Of course, that fight never happened because Klitschko decided to retire, so we didn't see that rematch. However, recently, DAZN tried to get Klitschko out of retirement for a 3-fight deal. The idea was that Klitschko was going to have a tune-up fight, then Avengers lost to Tyson Fury, and hopefully Avengers lost to guess who? Anthony Joshua. Now, all you AJ fans were like, oh yeah, that would be a great fight. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko again. Vladimir Klitschko's how old now? What, 44? 45? Really? But you're questioning Deontay Wilder about fighting Luis Ortiz at age 40. Okay, double standards, bunch of hypocrites. Now let's talk about Team AJ and Sky Sports, Eddie Hearn, Adam Smith, etc. Even AJ himself are all telling Deontay Wilder to sit down with AJ. Have a conversation with AJ. Make this fight. Go in a room and come out with a deal. Yeah, we have to see this fight, etc, etc, etc. Right? Well, Wilder tried that last year when the $50 million offer was made. Do you remember that? Eddie Hearn himself revealed this. Wilder tried to talk to AJ directly, and AJ's reply was, I don't do business like that, meaning he doesn't do business without his team around him to advise him. But it's funny now how Team AJ are all for Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua sitting in a room alone making a deal. Not only that, I spoke about this last week, but I'm going to speak about it again. They keep telling Deontay Wilder, go to the fight, be ringside, jump in the ring, talk to AJ, etc, etc, all this sort of stuff. Turn up to the DAZN event at Madison Square Garden. But last year, when Deontay Wilder wanted to do that, you turned around and said that, well, unless the fight's signed, he's not getting in the ring with Anthony Joshua. You remember that? The Joseph Parker fight? Deontay Wilder was invited. He said, I'd come down, providing I can get in the ring after the fight with Anthony Joshua. And they turned around and said, no, because we don't want you bringing that hype, because there's no fight signed. There's no deal signed. And here's the audio to it.
I had to deal with Sky Sports. They wanted me to come over and commentate for them. And I told them I'd come on one condition. And the terms was I get in the ring with Joshua at the end of the night.
So we talked about the Sky Sports thing. So I said the only time I've let someone in the ring after the fight is when I'd signed the deal. So Klitschko got in the ring with me. Because we had a deal signed. It was like, let's get him in the ring after I win. And now we promote the fight, saying the date's set, the fight's set. Wilder wanted to come without signing no contract. I said, why are you getting in the ring? This ain't about building profiles or hype. If you're serious and you want to get in the ring, let the world know we've got a fight. If you're not serious and you haven't signed the fight, there's no need to get in the ring.
A couple of days later, I get a phone call from my manager. He was like saying that ain't gonna be able to happen because Joshua talking about upping the security on me. I even heard about restraining orders and stuff, saying he don't want to hype the fight. For what? And and it's
no, it's kind of true, but no restraining orders. I'm not really into like, hey, up the security. Wilder's not coming anyway, so why am I worrying about upping the security? It's just a situation where sign the contract. It's a good fight to promote. Get in the ring. We can talk till the cows come home. So they say, Wilder, why are you over here? We're trying to negotiate a fight.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So that was just my view on that situation.
Yeah.
But his point is 75% right.
Now, that was Anthony Joshua on The Breakfast Club recently, when the original fight was made with Jarrell Miller, okay? And you heard him there saying it himself. Why get in the ring if the fight's not signed? Why bring all that hype? So what's Deontay Wilder going to do if he comes to the fight and steps into the ring? What's he going to do? What are they going to ask him? Oh, so why are you here, Wilder? Oh, we're trying to negotiate a fight? No? Same thing? So how does that make sense now? When you haven't signed the deal. That's Anthony Joshua's words, not mine. That's his. So why now? Why does it make sense now? And the other thing is, by Deontay Wilder going to the DAZN event, if he went to that fight, that would help with DAZN's numbers, of course, because obviously more people will, hopefully they're hoping more people will tune in, subscribe for the month, and watch the event, of course. Get it?
Major PR blunder not being here this week. And ask anyone in the media, they all say exactly the same thing. There's only one person crying. Oh, I can't get in the ring. I'm not coming. Oh, if I don't get in the ring, I'm not coming. Who's the crybaby now? The difference is you can get in the ring, but we're not scripting it. This is about Joshua against Parker. This isn't about Deontay Wilder. The only focus is the fight. And after the fight, if Joshua wants to invite you in the ring, which by the way he would, no problem. But it's not right. When the fight's over, you jump in and you go up to him. It's not about you, Deontay Wilder, this fight. This fight's about Joshua Parker. When it's all said and done, if we are victorious, then we'll start a little bit of hype train. You ain't signed a contract yet. Once you sign a contract, the fun and games begin. So, there's only one person that's thrown his toys out of the pram.
Oh! Deontay Wilder won't come to Madison Square Garden and get in the ring with Anthony Joshua on his US debut. He won't make the fight. Yeah. Same thing. I just reversed it. See what I mean? Double standards. Right there. That's what you were saying. Even Eddie Hearn, he was poking fun at Deontay Wilder for it. And now look, the tables have turned, and now they're begging for Deontay Wilder to come to the fight at Madison Square Garden and get in the ring with Anthony Joshua and go into a room with him and trying to hash out a deal. Who's throwing their toys out of the pram now? Right? Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua, of course.
Why sit here and talk about it? Let's just meet in the ring and get it on. Talk is cheap now. I've done enough of that talking business. I'm a fighter and that's why I want to handle my business. Deontay Wilder, when you're ready, come see me at a table. Don't come through your promoters and that no more. Come sit with me, man to man, across the table, and let's get this fight sorted. Then there's no pity-patty or who said, she said. It's me and him, man on mano. Hopefully me and him can negotiate this fight ourselves.
So, see what I mean? Now you want to negotiate man to man, face to face. Forget your promoters. Don't go through your promoters. Come straight to me. Whereas before you were saying to the world, hey, I don't work that way. I don't do business without my team around me. You know? Look at the way he's talking as well. Eddie Hearn did interviews last week where he was stating, basically saying that, well, hold on, I'm going to get AJ to put it on him. AJ needs to put it on him. He needs to question his manhood and, you know, get in his head and all that sort of stuff. Yeah? And kind of say, come out, I dare you to fight me. And that's what AJ's trying to do. And it's coming off fake anyway. Yeah, let's be honest, yeah? We don't hear AJ talk like that. He's robotic in his interviews most of the time. So we know this isn't him. But now suddenly you want to talk face to face. You know, don't make me laugh. You didn't want to do that last year, but now you suddenly want to do that this year. Talk about desperation. Now let's talk about viewership numbers, okay? Eddie Hearn did a couple of interviews. Well, he did one interview with The Boxing Voice. The Boxing Voice also did an interview with Joe Markowski, who's the VP, I think for sports in the US, in North America, for DAZN. Shout out to Nestor Gibbs and his channel, The Boxing Voice. You can find the links to these interviews in the description of the videos. Of course, I'm going to play you some of the audios that came out of those interviews. But let's talk about the viewership, yeah? Okay, so Eddie Hearn already turned around and said that the numbers for AJ versus Ruiz won't probably hit the numbers that Wilder versus Brazil did. Yet he was so openly critical of those numbers, but I kind of squashed that in last week's podcast anyway, yeah? And Joe Markowski talks about DAZN's policy on releasing their numbers, their viewership numbers, yeah? He basically said in that interview, if it's not deemed a success by DAZN, then they don't talk about their numbers, simple as that. Let me play some of the audio.
Is part of your pressure because you want it to be in a specific fashion so that, I mean, DAZN release numbers on Canelo. Would you like them to release numbers on AJ?
Yeah, for sure.
If the numbers came in.
I mean, the good thing is that we know that the numbers in terms of the viewership will be very solid because I expect them to be well past Anthony's Showtime numbers when he was boxing in the UK. Okay, so you know, can we hit the Showtime numbers that Wilder hit last week? Unlikely, you know, in terms of subscriber numbers, but I don't think we'll be a million miles away. Can we drive new subscribers? Yes. Will we drive new subscribers like Canelo did? No, because part of this mission is to increase his profile in the States, and that's why we're here. To be honest with you, you know, always the comments were, well, you know, Joshua's not that big in the States. Okay, we'll come to the States and try and change that. It's part of the mission here. But the mission is always to win. And all this, you know, profile building, all this, Wilder this, Wilder that, it's all irrelevant if you don't win. So that's really the focus of Saturday. But what I believe it's doing at the same time is building the profile of Anthony Joshua in this very important market.
Now you heard it there yourself. He doesn't believe the numbers will do better than Dominic Breazeale and Deontay Wilder did the other week. Yet you were so openly critical and shooting down those numbers, it was unbelievable. Yeah? But yet, now you're saying that AJ against Ruiz, who I might add, Anthony Joshua, in Eddie Hearn's opinion, is the biggest star in world boxing at this moment in time. Yeah? Won't do better numbers than Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale. Interesting that, don't you think? And considering he's the world's biggest star, his social, he shouldn't have to build his profile in the US because it should already be there, no? See what I'm talking about? You can't claim your fight as the biggest name in world boxing, but then in the biggest market in the world, which Eddie Hearn's now turned around and said in this interview that it's a very important market, the US market. Of course it is, because it's the biggest consuming market in the world, and I've been saying this for over a year now. You heard the audio I played at the beginning of him shooting down the American market and how it wasn't important. As long as you got the right backers, you don't need the US market, including his dad as well. Interesting that.
Canelo Jacobs caused DAZN to release numbers when we had a conversation. You guys said because you were a private company, you didn't release numbers. What happened? What changed?
Well, it was a success. We wanted to talk about it.
Now,
learn in America, you have to talk about your successful moments, right? Americans like doing
absolutely
that.
Right.
No, jokes aside, it was a success for us. I think for us, it demonstrates the strategy that we have in the US starting to be effective. I think most industry commentators would have pegged that fight at maybe a 500,000 pay-per-view fight. Roughly about right. I mean, there's an argument either side.
You think it would have only done 500 if it was on pay-per-view?
A conservative view and a sort of middle-of-the-road view of what that would have done was 500,000. Probably not a million miles away from being right. For us, releasing those numbers, obviously we released our global numbers, but the vast majority of those numbers coming from the United States, for me, it's an early sign that our strategy is starting to become effective. And what I mean by that is we're starting to get more people watching those fights because of a better for fans distribution model. The price is better, the way of accessing it better. We believe our marketing is deeper and better. And so those numbers are illustrative of that strategy starting to become effective. For me, it's very encouraging that after only 8 or 9 months in the United States, only after our second Canelo fight, we're already able to say that, because I think if you were taking a pessimistic view or a conservative view, you'd think it would take longer for us to get that momentum. The reason we released those numbers was to say it started to be effective already, and that helps our business in a number of ways, obviously, as well as making our internal lives easier. So look, that's why we release the numbers. We won't always release numbers. We haven't made a habit of it in all our markets. We'll do so when it makes sense for us, and in that instance it made sense for us to do it.
Damn. But you know that's going to make people assume, like, now if you don't release AJ's numbers, who's your next biggest star, if not the biggest star, then they'll assume the numbers weren't good because you didn't release.
Okay, as I said, we'll release numbers when it makes sense for our business. We're a private business, we don't have that pressure to do it. It doesn't mean it won't be a success. We'll release them, when it makes sense at different intervals for our business, as we have done every other market. We're very excited about this weekend. I think the benefit of scheduling AJ on the 1st of June is that all of our Canelo Jacobs subscribers, of which there were many, many new ones, are able in the first month of their subscription to watch this guy fight within their first month. So that's great for them. They've obviously got Triple G the following week, and then in my opinion the best scheduled in boxing will roll into the back end of the year once we get through the summer. So exciting time for us and exciting time for our subscribers.
So there you have it, Joe Markowski of DAZN clearly stating it that if the numbers aren't great, we're not gonna share them with you. Yeah? And they shared the Canelo versus Jacobs numbers because they thought it was a success. From a financial point of view, from a return on your investment, I did a podcast on this a couple of weeks ago, yeah? And I talked about the zone and those numbers with Canelo Jacobs. From a financial point of view, it was not a success. Let's be honest. Okay? But they saw it as a success, so they released the numbers. And I said this also, I've been saying this for a while now. Okay? So that basically, he's just telling you right there, we will show you the numbers and share the numbers with you, if the event is successful in our eyes. So we've all been wondering about Anthony Joshua's debut on DAZN, yeah, which was AJ versus Povetkin. That first month, DAZN went live in the US, broadcasting, streaming their fights on their apps, yeah. That first fight was AJ versus Povetkin. That first month was free to anyone and everyone. You did not have to pay a subscription cost, a cable bill, a satellite bill, nothing whatsoever. It was all free. And we all wondered, what were the AJ versus Povetkin numbers? What were they? And DAZN never revealed them. There was rumors that it only had 15,000 to 16,000 views. That's how many people watched it. Okay? That says it all. And with what Joe has just said in this interview with the Boxing Voice, shout out to them. Links will be in the description, right? But what he's just said to the Boxing Voice there says it all. AJ versus Povetkin on DAZN was a flop. Now, Eddie Hearn turned around and said the numbers for AJ versus Ruiz would do a lot better than his Showtime numbers, right? So remember, he had a 6-fight deal with Showtime, and he said it would do a lot better than those numbers. Well, not be funny, that shouldn't be too difficult, considering AJ's highest numbers on Showtime, and I talked about these numbers again last week. Go check last week's podcast out, and I've done a couple of other videos last year too. His highest numbers were the Klitschko fight. On Showtime, it was shown live, which would have been about midday in America. 659,000 views, I think it got, if I remember off the top of my head. And then there was a repeat around about 5 hours later. That would have been about 10 p.m. in the US on HBO, because obviously Klitschko had a deal with HBO, and I think it did 738,000. And that was prime time, yeah? So Wilder and Brazil did better than that. It didn't even beat Wilder versus Brazil. So I don't know what Eddie Hearn's talking about, criticising Wilder's numbers when he seems to have a lack of confidence in AJ beating his own Showtime numbers. And his highest Showtime numbers, I think, has been around about 350,000 outside the Klitschko fight. Go check last week's podcast out. So it's not going to be too difficult, in my opinion. Now let's talk about ticket sales, right? We've heard Eddie Hearn talking a lot about Deontay Wilder's ticket sales when he fought Dominic Breazeale, saying that 4,000, 6,000 of those tickets had been comped, meaning that they were given away for free. No one bought them, right? He's gone on to say that, the capacity, of 13,000, that wasn't, they didn't sell 13,000 tickets. The top tier was completely closed off, which we're all aware of, but he did sell 13,000 tickets. Now, I'm going to play you another clip. Shout out to Nesta Gibbon and the Boxing Voice. As always, links in the description. I'm going to play you a clip of that part of the interview Nesta Gibbs did with Eddie Hearn. All right, and then I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on it.
A couple of months ago, he didn't get what he wanted. You indicated that he needed to raise his profile, and he's done that. Yeah. And now,
but Ness, let me ask you
tables have
this.
turned in
what
his
do you think
opinion.
about the Barclays sales?
13,100
nowhere
tickets.
even fucking near it. You know that. Full of comps and not even 13,000.
I wouldn't be able to know if they were
okay. You know the top tier was shut, right? You know that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You know the Showtime numbers.
But you know that his 13,000, that's completely consistent with his normal numbers. Not like 13 was a bigger number than usual.
But why does Joshua do 19,000 at the Garden?
Well, you said he's got 7, 8, or 10 Brits coming. Yeah, that number's changed. You started at 10 on an IFL. Last week you said 8.
No, we thought we'd have 10,000. We've got about 7 or 8,000 coming. We have got a Champions League game, which is Liverpool against Tottenham, which is the final of. We've lost about 1,500, but we will have 19, whatever the max is. We'll have it in the Garden.
Now, Eddie Hearn is saying, as you heard, that over half of the tickets were comped. He didn't hit anywhere near 13,000. Yet he doesn't provide any sources, any links, or anything like that regarding it. You know, usual BS you get from Eddie Hearn. Now, if you go to, Boxing Ego's channel, okay, he recently showed a video on his phone because he was there live, and he showed he did a pan of the arena, and it was packed out. Except for the top tier, it was packed out. So that just tells you what a load of BS is coming out of Eddie Hearn's mouth. Yeah, he did sell 13,000 tickets, right? But not only that, at the same time, I'm gonna play you a bit of audio from another channel. This channel is called Ringside Reporter. Shout out to them. I forget the guy's name who did this episode of their podcast, but he actually rang the New York State Athletics Commission to ask them how many tickets were comped. And it's interesting what he was told. Shout out again to Ringside Reporter. Link to that podcast is in the description of the video, of course.
I want to know about the Deontay Wilder-Dominic Vasyl fight. What was the attendance? And also, is there a way that you know what the paid attendance was, and you can tell me?
Deontay Wilder?
Yeah.
The event for last Saturday?
Yeah.
The attendance. What do you want to know about the attendance? Like how many
comps were there? Can you tell me how many comps? Like how many people were comped, meaning they didn't have to pay for the tickets? Do you know what the paid tickets were?
I can get you to my boxing director, but I know there's only limited information. I know someone called earlier about it to know what Deontay's purse was.
No, I don't want to know that.
It's limited, but he can help you with that.
Okay.
His name is Matt Delaglio, and I'm gonna get you over to him. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Bear with me. This is going to be very interesting.
Mission? Hi, Mr. Delaglio. I had a question for you about the Deontay Wilder fight. Would you be able to tell me how many tickets were actually comped for that event?
Unfortunately, I cannot. That is tax. They handle that, not the commission itself.
Oh, the tax. Okay.
Yeah, so the tax department would have that information. Honestly, I'm not even sure they would release that information, but they may. But we wouldn't have it directly on us.
So there's absolutely really no way anyone would know about that unless they were involved in the event themselves, in terms of like the promoters and stuff like that?
No, I mean, they do have to report it to the tax department.
They have to, what is that called again? The tax what?
Taxation department, New York tax department.
Okay, so someone like couldn't just so someone would have to call the tax department to get that information then, right?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think they would probably.
And they wouldn't even give it to you. So anyone that says they know that how many tickets were comped and they weren't actually involved in the event, then that would be a speculation on their part, correct? Would that be fair to say
Probably,
that?
Unless they know someone special, I don't know.
Okay, awesome. That's all I needed to know then. That's what I wanted to clarify, basically. Because someone's going around saying that 7,000 tickets were comped at an event that sold 13,000 tickets.
Right.
Which I find is kind of really bizarre to say something like that. I don't know what your opinion is on that, but that's why I wanted to kind of clarify that. But so they would not have any way of knowing that then. All right, awesome. That's all I needed to know. I appreciate it.
Unless they contacted the tax department and they gave it to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, bye.
Shout out to Ringside Reporter for that. Links in the description. Listen, that says it all, yeah? How did Eddie Hearn get that number? You heard what the boxing director at the New York State Athletics Commission said. He clearly said that the only way you're going to find out that is if you ring the New York tax department. And they wouldn't even give you that information because you're not part of the event. Yeah, remember it's potentially people's earnings and stuff like that. You're not allowed access to that confidential information. So where's Eddie Hearn getting this information from? Yeah, where is he getting that information from? Give us a name. Give us a source. Unless you do, sorry, don't believe you. And clearly, listen to what was said there. Yeah? Listen to what was said there. And it also, look, someone else rang up, if you listen to the lady, saying that someone rang up asking and wondering what Deontay Wilder's purse was. They wouldn't even give you that information. So again, how are you getting that information? What's your source? What's your link? Prove it. You can't. And therefore, because you can't, as far as I'm concerned, Eddie Hearn is full of BS. So let's move on now to the next bit, which is how many Brits are coming to, or by the time you watch this podcast, some of you, how many Brits went to AJ versus Ruiz? Okay? Now, Eddie Hearn's thrown out a whole load of different numbers over the last few weeks. Alright? And I'm going to play you the audios to those numbers, yeah, that have been thrown out there. Okay? So, again, links in the description of the video, some from the Boxing Voice, actually a couple of them from the Boxing Voice, and one of them's IFL TV, where Kugan Cassius kind of gives the number, yeah, because that's what he was told by Eddie Hearn. So let me just play you those numbers.
Pushing Devin Haney's profile and trying to make him a star.
Because you're getting a replacement fighter for June 1st, do you think it's going to sell out still June 1st?
Absolutely.
Regardless of who Anthony Joshua fights?
There's already 12,000 Brits coming. They ain't going nowhere.
Thank you.
It'll be a Brit invasion, so don't feel uncomfortable.
That's okay. How many Brits are coming? In your estimate?
Eddie Hearn said around 10k, so we'll see.
That'd be great.
I want to see him.
That'd be great.
I like British women.
There'll be a few of those that come over as well.
90,000 Brits patting him on the shoulder. Yeah, AJ, you're this is 8,000 Brits, but still 11,000 Americans, probably quite a few Mexicans, new ring, like I said, new all that kind of stuff. But why does Joshua do 19,000 at the Garden?
Well, you said he's got 7, 8, or 10 Brits coming. That number's changed. You started at 10 on an IFL. Last week you said 8.
No, we thought we'd have 10,000. We've got about 7 or 8,000 coming. We have got a Champions League game, which is Liverpool against Tottenham, which is the final. We've lost about 1,500, but we will have 19, whatever the max is, we'll have it in the Garden.
Like, really? So one minute you're saying 12,000 Brits are coming, then you're saying to Kugan Cassius in interviews with him that it's 10k Brits, 10,000 Brits are travelling. Then in the same interview with Nesta Gibbs, you said 8,000 Brits. Then you said, no, it's 7,000 Brits. And then when, Nesta challenged you on it, you're like, well, 7,000 to 8,000 Brits. And then you came up with a poor-ass excuse that there's a Champions League game going on between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. I haven't watched football since I was 30, don't get me wrong, yeah? But I know if you paid for tickets to Anthony Joshua, hotel, you booked the ticket to the fight, airline, the flyover, etc., all that sort of stuff. Are you really going to say, hey, I'm not going now because I'm going to stay at home and watch, the Champions League final at home instead? Come on. And by the way, you do realise that football is massive in America, right? In the US and in Canada. I have family who lives in Canada. I can tell you now, they have great coverage of it. So actually, you could go to New York for the weekend, watch the Champions League final, and then go to the fight, because it'll be on a different time zone from us here in the UK. So again, that is some poor ass excuse, saying that we lost 1,500 because of the Champions League final. Don't make me laugh. Seriously? If you're a football fan and your team's in that tournament, you are not buying a ticket to AJ to fly over to the States. Because in your heart, you're hoping that your team's going to make the finals. Come on, I used to be a hardcore football nut once upon a time. So I know how it works. I'm telling you now, that is the worst excuse I've ever come across. Because he thinks the US public are going to buy into that nonsense. Yeah? I don't buy that nonsense. But the fact is that he's changed the numbers so many times. And you know why the numbers got less and less and less? It's because he's realised now, oh my God, people are not going to give us credit for this because we filled the arena, Madison Square Garden, with Brits. We're supposed to be selling Anthony Joshua to the US public, and most of the seats have been taken up by Brits. Quick, change the storyline, like he always does. More BS, man. So let's talk about this now. Anthony Joshua employs a sports psychologist for the first time as a professional. Anthony Joshua brings in new member to his team after admitting training camps are starting to F me over, right? The only time you do something like that is when the pressure's starting to build and it's too much and you're having trouble focusing. All right, fair enough. If he needs help like that, you should seek out help for it. Okay, but it also shows that there's a lot of pressure on Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, to perform, to deliver on his US debut, and going forward. In all honesty, that's what this shows to me. Yeah, I'll link the article in the description of the video. I'm not going to go through it all, and you guys can read it at your own leisure. But look, that says it all to me. The first time he's hired one of these psychologists, these sports psychologists, to help him out mentally, to mentally focus on the task at hand, comes, at the same time he's making his US debut. Look, I didn't get a chance to do a preview video for AJ versus Ruiz on how it was going to play out, etc. and stuff like that. All I'm going to say is that AJ should make short work of this, no more than 6 rounds. Everyone's making out like Ruiz is this elite level fighter, he's dangerous and all this sort of stuff. I've watched plenty of Ruiz fights, yeah? Fast hands, etc. Yeah, good little fighter, but he's not elite level. And AJ should dispose of him easy and quickly. Yeah, you're hearing this narrative from Eddie Hearn because one, he's trying to sell the fight, but at the same time, it's like making excuses before, just in case it doesn't go the way it should go. Yeah, a lot of the AJ fans have popped on my last video saying the same thing. All right, on my last podcast saying exactly the same thing, because there's a lack of faith, because they're worried if he doesn't perform, especially after Wilder's performance against Dominic Breazeale, and he doesn't put in a good performance, which I think won't be the case, he should do it, right? They're all worried like, oh, quick, let me get my excuses in now. And they're just following the same old thing, following Eddie Hearn's narrative. BS, BS, BS. Okay? Simple as that. AJ should make short work of this guy. Now, to finish off, basically to say here that AJ tried to freeze out Wilder and Fury last year. He did try it. AJ, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, they all tried it. They all tried to bully these guys because they were saying they weren't big enough and we're the boss, we've got the money, we've got the platform, it's all about the UK, it's here in the UK, and it's backfired big time. Yeah? Now it appears to be the reversal. AJ's being frozen out of the big fights. He tried to make a fight with Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz, yeah, okay, I did my video on it. They cocked up, his promoters cocked up. Yeah, all right, they dropped the ball with that fight. They could have made a lot of money. But at the same time, he was already kind of lined up to fight Deontay Wilder. Boom, you can't have that big fight. Now, they're trying to chase Tyson Fury now because they know they're not going to get the Wilder fight next. And guess what? It appears that Deontay Wilder has locked up that fight too. Yeah, obviously I want to hear Tyson Fury confirm it too as well. But it appears that contracts have been signed. That's what Wilder's saying. So he's locked up that fight too. So what's the next big fight for Anthony Joshua? Dillian Whyte, back home in the UK, where he knows he's got to pay a lot of money to get Dillian Whyte in the ring. And he's not willing to do that. And that's another good point. I was talking about at the beginning of the fight. I didn't mention it before. But everyone's talking about, oh, why is Wilder fighting Ortiz? He's already knocked him out, etc. Well, why did AJ want to try to fight Dillian Whyte in April? He's already knocked him out. Food for thought, right? Anyway, end of the day, when you look at it, yeah, it's not only AJ's being frozen out here, so has Dillian Whyte. While we're talking on Dillian Whyte, okay, Dillian Whyte is he went a couple of months ago. He went out to America, spoke to PBC, ESPN, talked about how he's a free agent and all that sort of stuff. He's moaning and complaining that he's not getting the shots that he wants, the title shots that he wants. Deontay Wilder's recently come out and said, he goes, I said it to him before, come over, make a deal, a one-fight deal with Al, and you can fight me. Not only that, he said, fight Luis Ortiz. If you beat Luis Ortiz, I'll give you a shot. Now, the WBC mandated that fight, and Dillian Whyte turned it down. But if you look at it now, Dillian Whyte recently, didn't Tyson Fury said, I'll fight Dillian Whyte for the diamond belt though. But now, Dillian Whyte's been frozen out as well, because it appears that Tyson Fury is going to be fighting Deontay Wilder early 2020. So for all their bully boy tactics over there at Matchroom, it's backfired. For now, it has backfired, and sorry to say, it seems like the momentum is on the side of Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. You know, stop playing these games, man. Stop spending so much time trying to discredit and insulting the team, these people around you, from other camps, from other teams, from other broadcasters. If you stop doing that, you probably would have made the fight by now. But because you keep playing these games, Wilder wants his 50-50. You don't want to give him 50-50, even though you say, oh, if I offer him 50-50, he's already said he may turn it down. He hasn't said he definitely would turn it down, but you never even made an offer. Where is the 50-50 offer? Did you make it? No. Do you know what I mean? Where is that offer? Hypotheticals. That's what it is. They're talking hypothetically. They're not. There's no actually contract or an offer or an email's been sent for a 50-50 split. Nothing. Yeah? Now, I said this for a long time that AJ is probably the A side and he deserves a 60-40 split in his favour. But the way things are going, it won't be long before Deontay Wilder is very much in that position where he says it's 50-50 and they're going to have to pay it up. Because I told you, the momentum is with Deontay Wilder. It was a smart move not signing with DAZN. I covered that a couple of weeks ago as well, as to the reasons why Deontay Wilder turned down that offer and what DAZN and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom were playing at. Yeah, I exposed all that nonsense. So, end of the day, keep playing these games. And it appears the team that was threatening to freeze out Deontay Wilder, do you remember what he said in that article? Deontay Wilder better fall in line or we're going to freeze him out. Well, it's turned around and bit you in the arse. And let's not forget, how many times have we heard Barry Hearn turn around and say that they have a 10-year plan for Anthony Joshua? A 10-year plan. Where's that 10-year plan now? Where is it? Oh, I know. It's been flushed down the toilet. Because now you're under pressure from DAZN to bring AJ to the US, right? And start making DAZN some money. Because let's face it, they cannot be happy with how much money they're spending at the moment. They are burning cash. Right? They are burning through money at the moment. Okay? So, end of the day, like I said, the tables have turned. Yeah? Things aren't going the way Team AJ want it to go. They want to be in control. They want to be the boss. They want to push the narrative and all that sort of stuff. And it's not working out that way for them. And they're getting exposed on every turn, on every corner. Simple as that. Okay, let me cover off a few other stories still in the heavyweight division. If you haven't heard, yesterday it was announced Joseph Parker has signed to Matchroom USA and DAZN. I believe he's no longer with Duco Entertainment or Duco Promotions. I think his deal with them had ended. They gave him some advice. They looked, which is actually quite good of Duco, to be honest with you. And they advised him to sign up with Matchroom Boxing and DAZN. Be interested in seeing Joseph Parker back in the ring, see how he's been away for a bit. You've seen a lot of videos of him on Instagram, working hard, training hard. He's looking to become world champion again, or unified champion, because obviously we have one unified champion, Anthony Joshua, and then we've got Deontay Wilder holds that WBC belt, and Tyson Fury is the lineal champion, of course, as well. But look, I like Joseph Parker. I always liked him. I think sometimes if you're too much of a nice guy outside of the ring, you sometimes lack that spitefulness in the ring. And hopefully, he did an interview where he says he's worked on that a little bit and he's hoping, but sometimes, you know what, you are who you are. And I don't know whether he can really mount a serious challenge against any of the top heavyweights. I personally think he loses to those guys. But look at the performance he put against Dillian Whyte. Personally, I felt like that fight was very close on the scorecards. And Dillian was very lucky in that last round. He didn't get knocked out and finished off by Joseph Parker. But you know what, I like Joseph Parker a lot, so it'd be good to see him back in the ring, potentially hearing him having a potential fight with Derek Chisora. That would be interesting too. So we have to wait and see what comes out of this. Other news from the heavyweight division, Joe Joyce will be facing Bryant Jennings. Listen, I think this is a good fight. Yeah, the fight's going to take place on the 13th of July. I like this fight. I think it's a good step up for Joe Joyce. Really see what he's made of. Bryant Jennings, good solid heavyweight. Will be a bit of a test for Joe Joyce. I'm not too sure still whether Joe Joyce working with Adam Booth is the best fit, but remember the last fight was only his first fight, so we'll have to wait and see over a couple of fights to see whether that's completely working. But look, I like this fight. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good fight between these two. Good scrap in my opinion. According to Gary Russell Jr., he is now a free agent and he has met with Eddie Hearn and he's had a few talks with him regarding a multi-fight deal with Matchroom and DAZN. Should be interesting whether that comes to pass. He's also talked quite vocally about wanting to fight Gervonta Davis as well. So should be interesting. Again, another interesting one. Pretty good signing for Matchroom. If you're a boxing purist or a hardcore, you tune into Gary Russell Jr., no doubt about it. Most of the casuals obviously probably won't know who he is, but that's a pretty decent signing in my opinion, if that happens. Okay, so that's all I've got for you guys on this week's episode of Bout the Ropes. As always, like, share, subscribe, or hate, whichever you prefer. And remember, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.
I was gonna rip his heart out, I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror, no, I'm Alexander, he's no Alexander. I'm the best ever, there's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston, I'm Jack Dempsey, there's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw, there's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious, I want your heart, I wanna eat his children. Praise be to Allah.